I have a prediction for Honkai Star Rails version 4.4.
Okay, editor, we'll just have my voice in the background, play some Minecraft as you DU car C war heroes, and like some random music. So this is like a yapping thing, right?
So, as you guys would have known as of this moment of recording, we only have a single brand new unit in version 4.4 that is going to be Himeko Nova, the only unit in 4.4, which means that for 2 consecutive patches, HSR is gonna be having a single unit for each patch within the version, which is pretty much almost unheard of for a very, very long time. Because if you think about it, we already have Asheville as a single unit back in 4.1, making version 4 having 3 different patches with a single unit. That, in contrast to the older examples that we had back then, right? Last time we had a single version unit, I believe it first started off with Reba. I think that was our first ever version 2.6. I don't even remember who pulled Reba, and it was instantly followed up with a Sunday plus Fugue, and then we went straight into Amphorius. And then for Amphorius itself, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Well, did Amphorius ever have a single unit patch? No, right? Okay, so Amphorius did not have a single unit patch. Now, Final was not a single unit. Why is that the case? I'm gonna address it, right? But if you were to think about it, the real quote-unquote single unit patch from Finon was in 3.4, but not because that Finon himself was a single unit, but what other thing happened in version 3.4? That's right. The Fate collaboration, first time ever, and that shit just dropped right out of nowhere on 3.4. The same version that Amphorius had a single rate up character that also had significant plot relevance to the Amphorius story, right? I think we can all agree, if not for Cyrene, Finon pretty much would have been the most plot relevant character in the entire Amphorius, and they dropped him on version 3.4 alongside with the Fate collaboration, which came with 1 rate up Saber, 1 rate up Archer, and Archer himself was given for $3.99. Now, why is it me as MrPokke is telling you guys all this right now, and the significance of why there's only a single drip marketing in version 4.4? Ladies and gentlemen, this channel does not host leaks. I do not look at leaks. I'm too busy cooking for Master and Uma Musume because Broke doesn't know how to play CM. I am here to basically discuss what might be a potential possibility in version 4.4. So Himeko herself, right? Himeko Nova, I think if you guys have been following up with the Plan Arcadia story from 4.0 all the way through to 4.3, at least before 4.4.2, Himeko's plot relevance is somewhat there, but it is not full on her chapter yet. Right, she is like a side character that is slowly gaining relevance as the 4.0, 4.1, 4.2 starts to establish more character development for either the main push, either a little bit of Asheville's detective, right? How the Asap Promado, Silver Wolves role, Yao Guang X Evanesia, us getting EMC and all that kind of stuff. But Himeko's development was still ongoing, right? From her arc to the discovery back in the past, how she quote unquote died and how her dad quote unquote died. Well, are there 2 Himekos? Are there only 1 Himeko but with 2 memories? Who exactly is Himeko's history back in those days, right? So now that we are going to be leading up towards version 4.4, that means between 4.3 through 4.4, we are most likely going to be having the biggest development up until the patch version that actually talks about Himeko. Just like how 3.4 was the exact same patch they brought up all the way through the announcement of Finon and his eternal suffering through the 33 million cycles, right? So that is going to be my guess. As 4.3, we explore a little bit about Morton X Blade, because Blade did in fact go birth Blade X mode. He wanted to kill himself with the abundance and the foul and everything. After the entire arc is gonna be ending, we will essentially come pretty much close to a conclusion for Plan Arcadia, because after Plan Arcadia, we are going to IPC. Right, we are already going to IPC. So this is pretty much a little bit more comparable to Panaconi, where our Panaconi stories was ending roughly in the middle of version 2, and then we started to explore a little bit more of things outside from Panaconi, right? Then it's like going to the airport and everything else. So with that being established, if Himeko's lore relevance is going to follow a similar roadmap comparable to Finon Castellana 3.4 compared to 4.4, then the other thing that is inevitably gonna pop up across my mind is, why is there only a single rate up in this version? Because I feel that as a company's baseline, right, as a corporate's baseline, if you are going to be creating a significant amount of budget to marketing, lore, character development for a unit that is so implied to be one of, if not the most popular unit, maybe if ever in the series, right, comparable to Elysia, because we have seen Himeko from way back in Honkai Impact 3, Night Glow, all that kind of stuff. So why would they release a character that is so important to the series, to the franchise, to the IP on only a single banner? Because if she is only gonna be the single banner in version 4.4, then consumers will not need to choose as much between Himeko and something else, right? Like for example, if they release a Himeko with like an elation sustain, an elation support, right, and follow-up attack main DPS, maybe she might be the who knows, right? But if they have basically 2 banners instead of 1 in version 4.4, then consumers will definitely end up be more likely to spend more money for the predatory gacha game, because this is a very significant character across Plan Arcadia as well as the Honkai IP. And ladies and gentlemen, this finally brings me to the elephant in the room. All right. It has been exactly 1 entire year since we have gotten the Fate collaboration. And it has been exactly 1 entire year since it is gonna be 3.4 to 4.4. My personal beliefs, right? My guess, right? My thoughts, my theory, right? This is just a theory, right? A game theory, right? A poke theory, if I can say so myself, is that 4.4 might have a absolutely out of nowhere announcement that we are getting the Fate collaboration part 2. That is my guess. Now, why do I say this, right? Why do I? Maybe they could have just came up with another. Okay, and that is because, number 1, we already know for a fact that the Fate collaboration banner, or specifically the collab banner, the pity carries over, right? We can already see that in-game. Why the pity will carry over. It is not a pity shared between your normal rate up banners, right? It is exclusive for your collab units. So if the collab banner is gonna be going away, those pity will be effectively wasted, and there is no way there is no other banners following up said collaboration. So that is number 1. Number 2, why Fate? Right? It could be any other collab. It could be a Fragrant collab. It could be a Demon Slayer. Why a Fate collab of all? And that is because, well, as dog shit as it was Fate collab story, if you guys actually pay attention towards the end of the Fate collaboration, which I did by the way, I was telling chat, you know what? This ending for the Fate collab story, it doesn't seem like it's gonna end. It seems to signal to me there appears to be a part 2 leading up towards the death of the quote-unquote Bazaka, right? And then there was a daughter that was gonna create more units, and then Paimon had to goodbye. I feel it is very unlikely that it will just end off the entire Fate chapter right there and then without the introduction of, for example, Lancer's unit is literally in the game. So we have Saber, we have Lancer, we have Archer. Which other Fate units are gonna be so popular in the IP that they would potentially include in the HSR series? Now for that, I have completely zero idea. For example, they could go with Ilya plus Berserker, right? Then maybe we could have like a Kerala plus Ilya, whatever kind of weird ass combination. We could have Rider, right? We could have Rider, either the Giga Chan Rider or the Dom Mami Rider, which looks a little bit like, you know, what is the girl's name? Kalambina with a blindfold. It could be Rinto Saga, because Rinto Saga needs no introduction. Hey, who knows? Rinto Saga might be Saber support, right? Because they're basically bases in point, right? So there's a reason why Saber is basically completely fucking dog shit, because she is waiting to be saved by Rinto Saga, which is literally going to be her. Alright, who knows, right? Who knows? And last but certainly not, what if it's Gilgamesh, guys? What if? Right? What if Gilgamesh starts spawning out of nowhere and bro is gonna be the absolute end all of all destruction units, imaginary, slams everyone. Oh, he might be an imaginary remembrance unit. Yeah, because like, he summons swords and shit. So those are gonna be his summons, right? So all these guesses from MrPokke, I am just gonna be guessing as an extremely high likelihood that by version 4.4, we are gonna be getting a second part of the Fate collaboration. Theoretically, not theoretically, guessing, not guessing. It is gonna be my absolute most logical line of reasoning. Because why? No, why? What other means do you have to combine such a lore-heavy, character-driven, IP-focused unit that is Himeko? How else you extract the highest possible amount of monetary value from the consumers than combining it with the literal follow-up of the IP franchise that has been in the work for the past 1 year, right? So that is going to be my guess. TLDR, if you want to skip the first 12 minutes of this Pokke theory, I believe that version 4.4 is not going to be a Himeko banner only. I believe in 2 days, when the HSR 4.3 livestream is gonna be announced with Morton X Blade, they are gonna drop an absolute bombshell out of nowhere regarding any kind of news towards 4.4. And I believe 4.4 potentially might be having the follow-up Fate collab banner unit in tandem with Himeko. But hey, that's just a theory, a Pokke theory. Let me know what you guys think in the thoughts and comments below, and I'll be looking forward to see if this theory is gonna be holding true. Word of the day is gonna be a theory. Join Twitch, join YouTube, join Discord. Use code Pokke for 10% off gamer subs. All the best for your gacha pools, and I'll see you guys next time.